One of the end results of excessive worrying, stress and anxiety can be depression. And depression is very often experienced as persistent low moods accompanied by a lack of self-esteem and a lack of appreciation for normally enjoyable activities. Clinical depression can have several treatments, and they can include the prescription of antidepressant drugs, counselling and cognitive behavioural therapy, and also exercise. American psychiatrist Aaron Beck is the originator of cognitive behavioural therapy. He proposed that 3 problems underlie depression: negative thoughts about oneself, one's environment and one's future, recurrent patterns of depressive thinking, and distorted information processing. Essentially, these are the things that we've been talking about during this video series. How we delete, distort and generalize our experiences to form our model of the world. How we create habits and recurrent thinking. How we generate negative results for ourselves by failing to process negative emotions. Cognitive behavioural therapy aims to assist people in these 3 areas by addressing these same areas that we've been addressing during these videos. Many cases of depression result from significant emotional events such as the death of a close relative. Of course, it's not the event itself that creates the depression, more the failure to release the build-up of negative emotions associated with the event. This is what we've been referring to as the processing of our negative emotions. Once any negative emotions that have been built up are released, people tend to feel free again, to feel positive emotions. They're able to look on the brighter side of life, appreciate the here and now, rather than being stuck in the past. Positive emotions involve the release of the mood-enhancing neurotransmitters of serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. These are the same chemicals that are in the antidepressant drugs and the same chemicals that are released as a result of exercise. We'll use the example now of the death of a loved one to enable you to understand the process that takes place with somebody getting depression. When we lose somebody that's close to us, then it's quite normal to experience a huge sense of loss. We know that life is never going to be the same again, and we know that we can't do anything about it. With this loss comes a great deal of hurt and sadness. Sadness at not being able to see, hear or touch the person again. Hurt because we feel damaged by the loss, we feel like our heart is broken. There's also the possibility that there's some guilt involved. We may feel guilty that it was them and not us that died. We may feel guilty that we didn't do for them or say to them things that we now want to do or say. There may also be anger that they were taken from us. Anger at the unfairness of it all. After the loss, we go through a mourning period where we experience all of these negative emotions, and we're consumed by thoughts for our loved one. We remember things involving them from the past, and we struggle to think about our future without them. Every single one of our thoughts brings with it negative emotions. We're anxious and we're stressed. When we wake up in the morning, we start with thoughts of our loss. They continue all day, and we go to bed at night with these thoughts. If we're lucky, then we go to sleep. Otherwise, we lie awake thinking about how we wish that things were different. Eventually, we may start noticing that the negative thoughts are reducing in frequency and the emotions are less strong. We begin to notice some positives in our life. We're able to appreciate a beautiful sunny day. We notice the beauty in nature, and we notice the smiles on the faces of small children. We remember what joy feels like. This will happen when we reach a stage of acceptance. When we start accepting that things will never be the same again, accepting that the loved one has gone, then we start recovering from the stress. We don't forget, we'll never forget, but we accept the loss. This allows us to move forward. In some people, acceptance doesn't occur as a natural progression of events. The negative thinking continues and becomes habitual. The stress and anxiety continue and can actually appear to get worse. We start losing energy as the stress continues. The thoughts take our energy away from us. We start feeling like we can't move forward in life. In fact, we don't have any future at all. When we look forward, we just see darkness and gloom. We lose confidence as we feel worthless and useless. We continue to spend time thinking about the person that we've lost, and the negative emotions persist. This is when we're in depression. Some people describe depression as a world full of blackness, no future, no beauty, just horrible dark thoughts. Being in our head is the worst place on earth. And there is hope, because people do recover from depression. It can just start with one less negative thought. It starts with one glimpse of light. It starts with a slightly better day. It comes with understanding what's making us depressed. And it starts with the knowledge of what actions we can take in order to get the recovery process underway. One of my clients described depression as can't be bothered-itis. Nothing seems important. Self-care often suffers as people can't be bothered to look after themselves. This client described her recovery from depression as starting one day with the decision to have a bath and shave her legs. This simple act of self-care changed her perspective on herself and her life. It improved her self-image, and bit by bit she began piecing her life back together. Now, maybe recovery is sparked by something as simple as somebody suggesting that we take some exercise, a walk to the shops. Exercise does help people recover from depression, anxiety and stress. Maybe we learn how to be mindful, and there are some instructions on how to do that in the mindfulness exercises on our website and later in this series. Mindfulness helps us connect with the here and now and is known to produce the same sort of feel-good chemicals as exercise and antidepressant medication. Whatever it is that sparks the recovery, make no mistake that it has to come from within you. If we wait to recover before taking action, then it won't happen. By becoming aware of how we create our perceptions, we're able to challenge them. By becoming aware of the contribution of our saboteur in our life, the positive intention behind our fight or flight response, we're able to recognize when it assists us and when it may be hindering us. By recognizing the part played by our negative emotions in protecting us and healing, we're able to ensure that we no longer ignore them and store them up. By making plans and setting ourselves achievable goals, we get to design our future the way that we want it. By shining our light of awareness on these things, we're able to see a clearer, brighter path to our future happiness.